We shall.
Let's roll.
We shall. All right. All right. Our first topic is going to be a video topic. U.S. to take at least 10,000 more Syrian refugees. Here we go.
The White House has announced it will accept dramatically more refugees desperate to escape from Syria. You have seen these pictures. Refugees from these war-torn nations here, Syria in particular, and also Iraq, pouring into Europe. Either arrival, along with tens of thousands from Iraq and Afghanistan, putting an enormous strain on Germany and Austria and many other countries. Here is what White House spokesman Josh Earnest said the U.S. is now willing to do.
This year, that will end, the fiscal year that will end at the end of this month, the United States is on track to take in about 1,500 Syrian refugees. The president has directed his team to scale up that number next year. And he's informed his team that he would like them to accept make preparations to accept at least 10,000 Syrian refugees in the next fiscal year.
All right, Michelle Kaczynski, working the White House beat as always. And so when you hear the number 10,000, listen, that's a lot more, than what they're taking in right now. But big picture, how much of a difference will that make?
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. And it's an interesting number when you look at it from two perspectives. I mean, first of all, this is about a 9 times increase over the number that was taken in this past fiscal year. So as the White House terms it, it's a significant ramping up. But you take that number 10,000, and today, finally, we do get a number. But you compare it to the millions of Syrians who've been displaced, what other European countries are taking in, Germany possibly 800,000 in the next year, Britain's first saying no and then changing course and saying, okay, we'll take 20,000. That's still double what the U.S. is going to expect. So obviously there are questions about that. And the White House isn't answering too many of them as to the thinking, as to how exactly they arrived at that number. What they repeatedly say, though, is that Homeland Security comes first. National security, of course, is the top priority. And each one of these refugees who are referred by the UN, so these aren't people running across the border, these are people who apply within their countries. Vetting them by the US takes a year to a year and a half per person. Not a quick process, and so it will take some time, although there are already many people in the pipeline. I mean, there were 17,000 referrals over the past year, so it might not take that long to vet them all, especially if that's been started for some of them. But this is the way the U.S. is going to continue to do it, so they're not going to speed them through.
Okay.
But the White House is saying, the best way to help these people is really by giving them more humanitarian assistance within their own countries. That said, though, they are significantly increasing the number that will be resettled here in the U.S.
Now, I know we have probably a lot to say on this, but before we get on with our commentary here, I want to state that people are probably wondering how the crisis started. Now, a lot of people know how the crisis started, and I got an image here where it'll give you an idea. This is updated in September 2015. Now, when did the crisis start? Anti-government demonstrations began in March 2011, part of the Arab Spring, but the peaceful protests quickly escalated after government's violent crackdown, and rebels began fighting back against the regime. Also, we need to let people know that shortly after this, ISIS and other military extremist groups invaded Syria to take over parts of Syria. Now, where are they fleeing to? Well, you can look on the map right here. A lot of, I guess you can see Turkey, Iraq, and Egypt, Jordan, and Lebanon. They took in a lot of refugees. The majority of Syrian refugees are living, in Jordan and Lebanon, where Mercy Corps has been addressing their needs since 2012. Now, for me, this is a big issue. I don't know why, some of the, Saudi Arabia, they're not taking in anybody. I don't know why they're not taking in anybody. They're supposedly our allies, but now the United States has to bring in 10,000. I mean, this is something we have to question, I think. So what do you guys think?
First, I love how Jersey and you pronounce Lebanon.
Yeah, I know. Fucking awesome. But what do you think, Paul?
But yeah, why are they not taking it? Because Saudi Arabia, why would they want to have people like that in there? They have their own, I don't know. They're more willing to push their own version of shit, and if it's the wrong type of refugees, why would they want them there?
And plus, why the fuck would you want to escape one shithole to go to another? No one's going to Saudi Arabia because it sucks just as bad.
Listen, I'm all for humanitarian aid and all that shit, and the United States can help out, and I know they're helping out. But I don't know why these refugees, and they're not really refugees when they leave like Turkey and so on and so forth. They're crossing the seas and going to Greece now. They're traveling through Europe, and you have Croatia now at the border, Croatia, where they're trying to stop them coming in. Now, I see this being a problem. Do you think there possibly can be sleeper cells, terrorist sleeper cells coming in these countries? I fucking think so. Even though this lady says that, oh, well, the process is a year and a half it takes, background checks, so on and so forth, to make sure they're safe. That's all good and well, but we have our own problems here in the United States, okay? We have these people spouting like, oh, the Mexicans, yeah, we're letting them through the border. You know, we have this kind of shit, and then we're going to allow another 10,000 refugees from Syria. How come we didn't do anything in Syria?
You know,
Syrian
Joe,
government is known for the chemical warfare, you know, the chemical weapons they used. I'm like, this is evident. UN is well aware of this.
Joe, do you know what it says on the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah, I know what it says.
What does it say?
I really don't care what it says, but still,
I'll
TJ.
tell you. If it's
Go ahead.
give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. Look, I understand, like, we have our own fucking issues or whatever, but everyone is taking in tons of people, and we're just talking about taking in a few thousand. Quite honestly, and
10,000.
you can't call yourself like a free fucking nation that actually gives a shit about everybody, and then deny refugees who are in dire need, and while everyone else is taking them in. Like, I mean, Germany, Jesus. But
Yeah, but TJ,
Yeah,
look,
how shitty?
But you have to vet them.
Totally,
That's
tonight.
the
Yes,
thing.
that's what they.
Yeah.
That's why they said in their story it's a long process.
Yeah, and that's why we're taking. I know, we should take. Okay, we should take more. But all right, if we take, say, 500,000 instead of just
Oh, no,
10,000, we'll have to vet all those people. And how much money is that going to cost?
That's much more of a. I mean, I could see more public outrage if it was $500,000, but we're talking about raising it from 1,500 to 10,000, which, I mean, there's a lot of fucking people. I mean,
I just
Yeah, I know, and we don't, and yeah, we're not trying to be like callous about it, but you got to be realistic too about who's coming in.
Yeah, that's the big thing. That's my own. It's my skeptical viewpoint on this is we don't know who's coming into these countries, into Europe. We don't know who they are. Yeah, they could do background checks, whatnot. We don't know if these
what
are.
we know is that they're not all just doing a max exodus for no fucking reason.
I mean, like, we can
And
look at.
they're in need of help. We know that much.
Of course, and I have no
Yeah.
problem donating to that cause. I have no problem with that. But we can look at the UK now, and with what Sweden's going through now with Muslim extremism. I'm like, we can see the protest they have in the UK now in Sweden. I'm like, this is an issue we have to really discuss. I'm like, we really do. I mean, like, is it going to happen in the future where we're going to have these sleeper cells in other countries doing what they have been doing?
It's not even just that, but I think you have the problem with in the UK where they want, instead of trying to integrate, they want to change it to where it's like the old country they've come from, how shitty, regressive, back asswards it is. So I think there's that problem too. It's fine to take in refugees, but if you take in refugees and they want to stick with it, or they want to regress, or they want to push like the old shit they came from on the new country, that's a problem.
Yeah, I totally agree that when you are being taken in another country as a refugee, you have to assimilate, and there's no taking it. It's not gonna be the way it was. You've done left all that. And this is what you have to deal with until something else can be figured out. And don't shit on your fucking somebody that's taking you in. And ignore their laws or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, you see the UK, they're trying to implement Sharia law in the courts over there. I mean, like, this is what they're trying to do. I mean, like, are we really going to adhere to their standards of where they came from?
Did it pass?
What's that?
Did it pass? They tried to implement Sharia law.
I doubt that highly.
No, I doubt that highly, but that's what they're trying to do. And if they don't get what they get, they're going to protest on the streets.
Okay.
And I believe that creates people to become more extreme in their views and their ideology.
Whatever. I
That's
mean,
what I think.
not getting their way makes them upset. Okay. I mean, but the The alternative
Right?
is giving them their what they want, like the way they want to do it. So obviously we just have to say no, and if they get upset about it, they can get upset about it. There's nothing you can really do about that other than give in.
I understand, but when you look at the Roman Empire, it collapsed under the foolishness of multiculturalism. I'm like, European is truly stupid enough to make the same mistake twice. Who knows? We'll see, I guess. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, multiculturalism is actually a good idea as long as there's a basic foundation for like the laws, like a constitution or something like that.
Sure.
And then having, Little Italy is awesome, and Asia Town in Orlando is like the best place to eat.
I'm not against multiculturalism, but I'm just talking about the European nations over there now, and you got to remember we have over 300,000 Muslims in here. That's cool. They're majority of them, if not all of them, are peaceful. There's no doubt. But I think when you have these types of people that are coming
definitely
from,
not all of them.
Definitely
Majority,
not all.
Yes, if not all, was
a high percentage of them.
Yes.
We'll leave it there.
High percentage.
We had our issues with sleeper
like most
cells here in the
religions.
United States in the last, whenever. We know that, but I just feel like we have to be very cautious about this, man. And
I mean, sure, that's why they're vetting them. They just said it was like a really long process, and that there were some people that are already in the pipeline from like getting in on it early or whatever. But before the mass exodus and everyone started, taking in different people, and the U.S. Quite honestly, we pretty much just have to do something, if not just not to look like assholes. It would.
When have we ever had a problem with that?
But I'm saying, you want to be talking about how we want to spread freedom and everything like that. You want to talk about freedom and then deny people that are seeking that freedom. And if, like we've already distinguished, if they are not seeking freedom, but instead are seeking to have the freedom to push their shit, that is an issue. But all you can do is tell them no. That's what we've been doing, or trying to do at least.
So how should we treat them? Are they going to become residents? Are they going to become?
We should put them in internment camps.
No.
Make them mow our lawns. No, I mean,
listen, man, I just don't see what the
treat them
problem.
like fucking people in need of help.
I understand. I'm totally for that, no doubt. But I don't see why that all the nations over in the Middle East can't do more. I know they're doing a lot, but why can't they do more? So what's going to happen when the 10,000 refugees come over here, and all of a sudden everything's all fine and dandy over in Syria? Are they going to go back? Or are they going to stay?
Probably. A lot of them would want to go back.
Which is fine, but I'm just telling you. I'm skeptical about this because I feel you're
at the very maybe the solution is like a temporary visa that is extended until a certain period of time, and then they review the situation, and then they can either extend the visa or come up with a solution. Ask the people, hey, are you ready to go back, or maybe extend your visa one more time because you've had a life here, you've started a life here, and if you want to extend it by a couple years or whatever, and then your visa runs out and you go back. I mean, simple solutions like that. It's not that complicated.
I see your viewpoints, no doubt. All right, that being said, why don't we go to the next topic? This is